This is KGW News at 11.
An overnight stabbing in Gresham only made more difficult when there were no ambulances available to respond. Thanks for joining us tonight at 11. I'm John Adams. While the victim is expected to survive, this represents yet another example of the impact of the nationwide shortage of paramedics. Our Cale Williams has the story.
The incident began around midnight when the first reports of the stabbing came in. But it took a turn when firefighters and police on the scene realized the closest ambulance was all the way in Clackamas. Around midnight Sunday, police and Portland Fire were called to a stabbing near 181st and East Burnside. Police secured the scene, and firefighters started attending to the victim, an adult male. Lieutenant Terry Foster said they first saw the victim had a head wound, but...
And they also found out that he had multiple stab wounds to the abdomen area.
It was clear the man needed to be taken to a hospital immediately.
This is a critical patient. They were assigned an ambulance at that point, but they were coming from Clackamas.
Gresham Police Detective Adam Wright said they had to take matters into their own hands.
The firefighters at the scene decided it was in the best interest of the patient to have them transported immediately.
And thankfully, law enforcement said, hey, just throw him in our car, we'll take him. So our paramedic from Engine 31 jumped in the back of the police cruiser and they drove to the closest hospital.
In less than 10 minutes, the victim arrived at Mount Hood Medical Center. He was in critical condition as of Sunday afternoon, though Wright said he was expected to survive. Still, the incident is the latest to demonstrate the ambulance response crisis in Multnomah County.
Level 0 is a thing that was unheard of early in my career.
Level 0 is code for when there are patients in need, but no ambulances available. And while it used to be rare, last year Multnomah County saw nearly 15,000 calls to 911 where no ambulances were available to respond. In Portland, patients have been transported by fire rigs, police cars, and in at least one case, a TriMet bus. This was a new one for Wright, though.
This is probably the first police transport I can think of for our agency.
Part of the problem lies with ambulance staffing requirements in Multnomah County. The county requires ambulances to be staffed by 2 paramedics, as opposed to other counties where ambulances have 1 paramedic and 1 EMT. City councils in both Portland and Gresham have passed resolutions calling for those requirements to be eased by the county. But so far, Multnomah County Chair Jessica Vega Peterson has resisted those calls. She's blamed AMR for failing to staff its ambulances, and the county has fined the company more than $500,000. For its part, AMR says the strict county rules, along with a shortage of certified paramedics, have left them hamstrung. In the case of the Rockwood stabbing, Wright said officers do train for these types of scenarios, but under different circumstances.
And we have trained and prepared our officers for it, but it's always been in the context more of a major incident or disaster.
And Foster, he gave credit to the firefighters on the scene for helping to save the victim.
They made a decision within 5 minutes to transport, and it made a difference.
One suspect, identified by police as Miguel Contreras-Ye, was arrested on suspicion of assault, and police are still looking for several others. Cale Williams, KGW News.
Detectives continue to investigate a fatal shooting in Northeast Portland. Just after 4 this morning, police responded to shots fired along Northeast Weidler Street, just blocks from the Moda Center. They found a man dead at the scene. They have not yet identified a suspect. We'll keep you updated as we get more information. On Monday, the trial begins for a man charged in the death of a Vancouver police officer. Julio Segura faces murder, burglary, and other charges after a Clark County Sheriff's deputy mistakenly shot and killed Officer Donald Sahota back in 2022. Prosecutors say Segura is to blame because before the shooting, he allegedly got in a fight with Sahota and stabbed him multiple times. When deputies got to the scene, Segura had run into a home, and Sahota, with his gun out, was mistaken for the suspect and shot. Segura pled not guilty to all charges. New tonight, a man is booked on multiple charges and could face even more after police find a stolen handgun following a car chase. It started when Washington County deputies tried to pull over a car driven by 25-year-old Nicholas Pena Galvan before 3 this morning near Highway 217 and Southwest Walker Road. He initially sped away, but deputies were later able to stop the car in Beaverton. Pena Galvan tried to run and at some point dropped a handgun. Police say it was listed as stolen. The investigation continues. A truck driver is lucky to get away with only minor injuries after her concrete mixer overturned Saturday morning. It happened after 9 a.m. on Old Pacific Highway and Green Mountain Road in Woodland. Clark Cowlitz fire rescue crews arrived to find the truck on its side, the driver trapped in the cab and diesel and fresh concrete leaking. Firefighters had to cut out the windshield and part of the cab to get her out. She was taken to the hospital for evaluation. Woodland police are investigating how it happened. Well, turning now to weather, we are 45 days away officially from the start of summer 2024, and we're still talking about snow. And it's not low elevation snow, but for the second week in a row, the Cascades are going to see snow measured in feet. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri joins us now. And Joe, how long are these winter conditions going to hold up in the Cascades?
A couple days. And John, how does that make you feel to know that we're about 6 weeks away from the official start of summer? I think it makes people think, oh, maybe breathe a sigh of relief. I know I'm one of those people myself. Yeah, the snowfall has been pretty incredible for early May up in the Oregon Cascades. Winter weather advisory has been kind of pushed back over the last couple of days. It was set to expire earlier today. Well, now it's not going to be expiring for another 24 hours. So as we look at the timeline for the winter weather, heavy snow right now and blustery conditions really tonight and into tomorrow. Snow showers overnight anywhere from 2 to 5 inches and then another 2 to 5 inches possible by the end of tomorrow. Tuesday, the snow level stays at 3,000 feet. But looking into Monday, we start to dry out, and a lot of models are in agreement that once Wednesday hits, we'll be dry for at least a week, and our temperatures will gradually warm up. Here's a look at that winter weather advisory that is in place throughout the Oregon Cascades through the end of tomorrow night. And a live look outside Timberline Lodge, 28 degrees, and the snowfall has been basically nonstop since last night. And thanks in part through this cold front that's been moving onshore, bringing in a good amount of rain over the last couple of days, and that includes throughout parts of the coast and the valley. More rain showers are in the forecast for tomorrow, but John, I have a forecast that's going to put people in a very good mood come Thursday, Friday, and especially into next week. I'll have the details of that coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Joe, we'll see you in a few minutes. Well, it's been just over 4 years since the start of the COVID pandemic, and doctors in Seattle are taking up a major project to help provide relief to patients still experiencing effects of the virus. Health experts estimate up to 40 million Americans could be living with what's known as long COVID. As the Census Bureau estimates, that's nearly 17% of American adults. The number in Washington shows similar percentages. Now, one Seattle doctor wants to hear from you if you're suffering from extended symptoms after recovering from a COVID infection. His team is part of a national clinical trial looking into whether the antiviral drug Paxlovid, normally used to treat active COVID infections, can be used to treat long COVID symptoms.
There's a reservoir where virus persists in the body, and that can cause certain things like the fatigue or tiring after exercise, or even feeling dizzy when you stand up, or brain fog. So the idea that the antiviral could break up this reservoir of virus that's persisting in the body is really what we're trying to study in Recover Vital.
They're also looking into whether long COVID happens from a long-term persistent infection or if the body healing after successfully warding off COVID. The hope is the research will provide those answers. Like most other states, the pandemic saw an exodus of healthcare workers. With Oregon in need of nurses, one local college has dedicated itself to fixing the problem. Concordia University St. Paul now offers an accelerated 16-month nursing training program. The director of the program says currently Oregon produces the third fewest nursing graduates per capita in the U.S.
That's why we are trying to give students access to education and let them come in and become the nurses that they really want to be.
I realized that I wanted to be a part of something bigger and something more important.
The American Association of Colleges of Nursing says right now traditional colleges and universities lack the capacity to serve the number of students interested in healthcare.